The town of Fairfield Hollow sat quietly in the hills of Virginia, hidden beneath a canopy of ancient trees. Outsiders rarely visited, and the few who did always left with the same unsettled impression. The place felt wrong, not because of crime, not because of poverty, but because there were no mirrors, not a single one. Windows were painted black. Shards of broken glass had been cemented into pits behind the church. Even the small creek that ran along the town was filled with stones to cloud its reflection. It was as though Fairfield Hollow had declared war on its own image. Kelly, Marcus, and Dylan weren't supposed to be there. They were three college friends, eager to escape the boredom of campus life. All of them were obsessed with America's strangest legends, and they made low-budget horror videos for fun. When Kelly stumbled upon an old article about Fairfield Hollow, a town that had supposedly buried its mirrors to bury a curse, she convinced the others to go. "Think about it," she said, her eyes bright with excitement. "Everyone knows the Bloody Mary story. But what if there's a version nobody talks about? If we dig this up, it'll blow people's minds." Marcus laughed nervously. "Or we'll just look like idiots trespassing in some weird hillbilly town." But Dylan agreed with Kelly. "Even if it's fake, it's creepy enough for a good video." So, one rainy Friday evening, they packed their gear and drove into the hollow. From the moment they arrived, the town felt unnatural. No street lamps, no laughter, no sound except the hiss of rain on the rooftops. An old grocery shack was the only place that seemed open. Behind the counter, a woman in her 70s eyed them suspiciously. "You're not from here," she said flatly. Kelly smiled politely. "We're just passing through. Doing some history research." The woman stiffened. "There's no history worth knowing here." But when Marcus pressed, asking why the windows were painted black, the woman's voice dropped to a whisper. "We bury the mirrors to keep her in the dark." Before she could say more, a tall man stormed from the back of the store, grabbing the woman's arm. "Stop talking," he snapped, glaring at the visitors. "We don't want her kind here." They left quickly, but the words clung to them. Buried the mirrors, as the rain worsened. They wandered to the edge of town. A crumbling church leaned against the hillside, its steeple blackened by fire. Inside, the air smelled of mold and ashes. Broken pews lined the room, and at the altar, heavy chains hung like restraints. "Looks like an exorcism chamber," Dylan joked nervously. But Kelly's eyes had already caught something strange. A hatch in the floor, hidden beneath a half-burnt rug. Together, they pried it open. Beneath was a pit filled with shattered mirrors. Hundreds of them, jagged and slick with dampness, piled like bones. Each shard seemed to hum faintly, a vibration deep in their ears. And when Marcus shined his flashlight, he swore he saw a girl's face blink inside one of the shards. They recoiled, but Kelly was transfixed. "It's real," she whispered. "The legend's real." In the church's back room, Dylan discovered a leather-bound journal tied shut with rosary beads. Dusty, brittle pages revealed the names scrawled inside. Mary Aldrich. The entries began ordinary, complaints about strict teachers, cruel punishments, loneliness. But soon they darkened. "They don't see her, but I do. She waits for me in the mirror, her face pale, her eyes black. She whispers that I am hers. The nuns tell me to pray, but prayer does nothing. The glass watches. The glass breathes. She says her name is mine now. She says I am her voice. The final page was almost illegible, written in smeared ink. I'm not alone in the mirror anymore. Kelly's hands trembled as she closed the book. That night, they checked into the only motel near the highway. Kelly couldn't stop staring at the bathroom mirror. It felt wrong. Too clean. Too reflective. When she filmed her vlog intro, something terrifying happened. Mid-sentence, her reflection froze. Her real lips kept moving, but the reflection's lips did not. Then, slowly, the reflection smiled. Kelly screamed, dropping the camera. Marcus and Dylan rushed in to find the mirror cracked, a thin line of blood trickling from Kelly's nose. She swore she hadn't spoken the name, but something had already heard her. At 3:13 a.m., the power went out. Dylan's night vision camera caught everything. The bathroom mirror began to vibrate, rattling against the wall. A pale hand pressed against the glass from inside. Cracks spread like veins across the surface. Then came the figure. A girl in a shredded 1800s dress, her hair hanging in wet clumps, her jaw unhinged far too wide. Blood dripped from her hollow eyes as she whispered, "You brought me back." The mirror shattered. Marcus grabbed Kelly and Dylan, dragging them out to the car. But when they looked at the windows, every pane reflected her face. Dozens of her, each one closer. They tried to flee Fairfield Hollow, but no matter which way they drove, the road circled back into town. The GPS spun uselessly, showing nothing but empty black space around them. At the edge of the street, the townsfolk stood silently, holding lanterns. None met their eyes. Kelly ran toward them, begging for help. An old man shook his head. "You broke the seal. We cannot help you. She belongs to you now." They hid in the church, barricading the doors. The diary lay open, but the words had changed. Fresh ink bled across the paper, writing itself. 3 souls for me. 3 souls for me. Marcus screamed suddenly. His reflection in a shard of glass moved on its own, pressing its palms against the inside of the surface. He was yanked forward, dragged into the shard like water. His body collapsed, empty-eyed, lifeless. Kelly and Dylan smashed the shards desperately, but every fragment birthed another Mary. Some crawling backward like spiders, some grinning with jaws that split to their ears. The church filled with them. The walls shook with whispers. Kelly clutched Dylan's arm, sobbing. "We're not getting out." Already hers. The last thing Dylan saw was Kelly's reflection reaching through the mirror, hands wrapping around her throat. Days later, Fairfield Hollow was silent again. The church doors were chained shut. The townspeople returned to their dark houses. The pit of mirrors overflowed, humming faintly. No trace of Kelly, Marcus, or Dylan was ever found. But sometimes on dark nights, you can see their faces in mirrors you pass by. Not looking out, but looking in, as though they're trapped, watching you. And behind them, her. Always her, waiting for someone foolish enough to say the name. Bloody Mary.